Now we're going to find out why that book value is so important. We're going to buy an item in 2011, and then we're going to sell it in 2016. And we're going to try to see if we have a loss or a gain on the sale of that item. But first we have to do a lot of number crunching, so let's kind of get started with what kind of numbers do we have to have here. So they give us, we paid $420 for it, we have a useful life of 15 years, and it has an estimated value of $30,000. And it's depreciated straight line. And that's all the information we need. So we have a cost of $420. I have a salvage or residual value of $30,000, which means my depreciable base is $390,000. And divide that by 15 years, because that's how long we're going to have it. So we're going to allocate the cost of that item over a 15-year period of time at $26,000 per year. That's pretty straightforward, and each year we will do this journal entry. So what is our accumulated depreciation after 4 years? So that would take us to 2015. If you multiply that 26,000 that you've been taking out each year, you have an accumulated depreciation of $104,000. So if I were to ask you what is its book value at 2015, you would, I think I've got this messed up. This should actually be 15, sorry. So if you look at this at the beginning of 2015, January 8th, 2015 to be exact, you would say the book value is 4 years times that 26,000. So my minus, okay, so I have 420,000 minus the accumulated depreciation, and it has a book value of $316,000. That's what would show on the balance sheet. But in October 2015, I sold it for $275,000. Now, just initially looking at this, what would you say? Was that a loss or a gain? Well, if the book value says that it's at $316 and I sold it for $275, it kind of implies that they may have lost money when they sold it in this case. But we haven't done something. I have 8 months or 9 months worth of depreciation that's not been included in this. So now I've got to go back and I've got to figure out that depreciation from January to October of 2015. That's 9 months or 3/4 of a year. So I multiply 26,000 times the 3/4 year and come up with depreciation that hasn't been added to the accumulated depreciation of $19,500. So that's got to be added in. Let's get everything straight. So I will do an entry that's sort of like an adjusting entry for depreciation of $19,500 to the accumulated depreciation of $19,500. Now I have a total of accumulated depreciation of $104 plus $19,500, and that will give us a total of what, $123,500, I think. Okay, so now my accumulated depreciation right here has changed to $123,500, and my book value has now changed from that $316 to $296,500. I'm still selling it below the book value. So that's going to that tells me, just looking at this, that I'm probably going to have a loss. But let's do the numbers. So if I were to sell this, I would plug in what numbers I already have. I have right now. I got $275,000 in cash. I have to remove the accumulated depreciation because I'm getting rid of the product or the asset. And I have to remove the equipment from my accounts, and that's $420,000. Now, if you take those, and you always know that journal entries must be balanced, you'll see these aren't balanced here. If I take that out, this is what you would come up with: $398, $500, and $420. So in here, we're going to have a balancing entry. The difference is $21,500. Now this, since it's a debit, is going to be a loss. They've lost $21,500 on the sale of this asset. Very well could have been a gain if they'd have sold it for $300,000. They would have had a gain then of $3,500. So this becomes a debit here for a loss, or a credit here for a gain on the sale of an item. And that's why that book value right here, and keeping track of the accumulated depreciation, is so important, because you will sell assets and you will have to take them off the books occasionally. That is why that's all wrapped up, and all of those numbers become very pertinent to when you sell items. So that takes care of the sale of an asset.